Edgar Latulip was born on the 24th of April 1965 and lived in a group home in Kitchener, Ontario at the time of his disappearance. Edgar was 21 years of age, but due to his learning difficulties, he had the brain function of a 12-year-old. Edgar had previously attempted suicide due to severe depression and was admitted to hospital for his self-inflicted injuries. On the 2nd of September 1986, Edgar was discharged from the hospital. However, Edgar never returned to his group home in Kitchener. When his mother, Sylvia Wilson, was asked if Edgar was with him, she stated she hadn't seen him since his hospital admission. Police were then made aware of Edgar's situation. Investigators discovered that Edgar instead had bought a one-way ticket to Niagra Falls, 90 minutes from where he lived. What would ensue at this location was left to the investigators to inform Sylvia of what had occurred. Despite Edgar's last location being known, search and rescue teams failed to find any signs of Edgar in the water or in the nearby area. With no new leads to the location of Edgar Latulip, the case went cold. In January 2016, almost 30 years after the disappearance, a call to the police in Ontario came from a man in his 50s, going by an unknown name, claimed he was Edgar Latulip. This man suffered from the same developmental disorders that Edgar had and was only living an hour and a half's drive from Niagara Falls, Edgar's last location before he went missing. After DNA testing, it was confirmed that the man who claimed to be Edgar was in fact telling the truth. Edgar had suffered from severe amnesia due to a possible fall, leading him to forget his name and whereabouts. As he travelled with no luggage on the trip to Niagara Falls, the hospital was unable to identify him. Nevertheless, when released from hospital, it was likely that he was sent to a care home to be temporarily cared for until he was identified. But this wouldn't explain why no one came forward claiming they recognised him. An alternative explanation is that Edgar managed to get by on his own for a while, living with a new identity in a new location, until eventually he or someone around him recognised that he needed to be cared for due to his limited mental function. In the weeks following up to his reappearance, Edgar began having flashbacks to his previous life in Kitchener. He remembered his name and searched for it online. When he realised these flashbacks were true, he quickly informed his social worker, who then informed the police. Today, Edgar Latulip is a settled pensioner living happily in a much better mental state than that of his 21-year-old self. In an interview, his mother, Sylvia Wilson, said that he now has lots of friends who he spends time with in his group home. The thought of a mother losing her child for 30 years, expecting the worst but hoping for the best, this is one of only a handful of stories with a happy ending, and it is incredible that Sylvia is able to see her son today.